Hey, it's Mo Egger. The big question this football season, where are you going to watch all the big games? I've got the answer. Long Neck Sports Grill, 3 locations in northern Kentucky, Wilder, Hebron, and Richwood, each of them very easy to get to. The TV setup is unmatched, 4K TVs all over the place, and the sound is on for all the big games. You can't top the menu. I love the wings, and no place has a better beer selection. That's most important. Long Neck Sports Grill, perfect for football season. Stay late, come often. All right, let's see here. I've got with us our buddy, Dr. Nick Early, OrthoCincy. If you need their help, the great thing about OrthoCincy, you never need an appointment. They have locations all throughout the tri-state, and they've got locations with evening and weekend hours. A whole army of doctors and specialists that can help you out no matter what your injury is, no matter what you need. Go to OrthoCincy.com. All right, Dr. Early, I appreciate the time. Let me start with Tee Higgins, because Tee Higgins obviously was on the injury report all week last week with the ankle. The game on Sunday night, he tried to go. He couldn't go. He sits out basically the last 3 quarters. Zach Taylor was asked about it on Monday, and he goes, look, ankle injuries are complicated. Ankle sprains are complex. From a medical standpoint, what does that mean?
Well, when you're talking about an ankle sprain, there's a couple of things to consider. First is which ligaments are injured, or to what extent have they been injured as well. So, for instance, there's ligaments that are on the outside of the ankle, there's ligaments on the inside, and there's ligaments that actually attach between the 2 major bones, the low part of the ankle. When you injure those, we call it a high ankle sprain. So, to some extent, which of those ligaments you've injured can determine the severity of it, but then also how much they've been injured, so how much those ligaments have been stretched. So with an ankle sprain, you could just have a minor injury where you just kind of stretch things a little bit and it recovers very quickly, and then there can be others where it's a little bit more questionable. And so it's kind of one of those things where you're not exactly sure how much somebody's going to be able to tolerate until you try to push it. So if he's having persistent swelling, if he's still having a lot of pain, he just may not be to the point yet where he's able to really perform. And so it's a question more so of performance oftentimes than it is, is this going to be something that's going to cause a long-term problem?
Can a sprain really heal if a guy is trying to play with it?
It can slow it down for sure if you're re-aggravating it. So it kind of depends. Like I said, once again, on how severe it is. Certainly if it's still very inflamed, the ankle's swollen, and you, let's say, even twist it again or put some stress on it that causes an increase in pain, that can kind of slow things down a little bit. And so sometimes it does take a real break to get over the hump.
This might be sort of a silly question, but we've made all these advances in footwear, and shoes are so expensive, and these guys at the professional level, men and women, they both get the most highly advanced, high-tech footwear, and yet there are still a ton of ankle sprains. Why?
Well, that's a great question. It's funny, with all the technology, it really focuses more on performance. The thing about it is you probably could prevent ankle sprains if you had really restrictive footwear on, but that would definitely affect performance in running and cutting. And so, especially if you're looking at somebody like a wide receiver, they're going to wear a pretty low profile cleat most of the time and probably don't want something very restrictive on their ankle. And so honestly, you're not really looking too much at protecting them from injuries. And that's probably one of the reasons is it's just still an issue.
Dr. Nick Early is with us from OrthoCincy. Check out OrthoCincy.com. Let me ask you about Jonah Williams. The Bengals left tackle left the game on Sunday night for a while with a knee issue. The early word out of Baltimore was it was an MCL sprain. Now, he came back into the game and he played well. He said today, though, that what he was dealing with was a dislocated kneecap. That sounds incredibly painful. What should the coming days be like for him in terms of treatment?
So for the most part, what you're trying to do is make sure that the knee is stable. So that's the first thing. And if he's able to get back in the game, with the brace on and play, he must have pretty good stability. And with that, you also want to make sure he has good range of motion, good strength, things to try to protect his knee as he's playing. And basically what you're trying to do is stabilize it, make sure that he can move and do everything he needs to do and keep his pain level tolerable. And if it's stable while he's doing that, then he should be okay.
One more for you, and this involves Russell Wilson because I saw this. He suffered a partially torn lat muscle in his throwing shoulder, and so my instant reaction is he's going to have to miss some time. They gave him a platelet-rich plasma injection to help deal with discomfort and inflammation. I guess my first thing would be, if you throw footballs for a living and you've got an issue in your throwing shoulder involving a muscle, how do you keep doing that? How do you play? Walk me through that.
So the lat muscle is kind of an uncommon area to have an injury. There's a lot more common places you would see, but it does happen, especially in throwing athletes. In this situation, it doesn't seem like it was a full thickness or a full injury to the tendon or the muscle. And so what you're really trying to do there is get this to heal up somewhat. But once again, it's a situation where you can aggravate it, and sometimes trying to play through it can, make things difficult from a recovery standpoint. But if you're able to kind of control pain and he's able to function well, then potentially he's able to play through this. A platelet-rich plasma injection, PRP, is basically one thing you can do to aid in, helping with the symptoms and potentially help the muscle and tendon to heal.
How often, if he's going to get through the rest of the season, and obviously 2/3 of it is still left, how often might he need that injection over the course of the season?
You really wouldn't do it that often, potentially. You may repeat, if you do an injection, you may repeat it in a few weeks. It's not something you would necessarily do like every week. And that kind of depends. And sometimes you'll even get follow-up imaging to check and see if you're seeing any evidence of healing. But that's more so something to try to stimulate some healing and, help with the symptoms rather than something that just masks the pain. So it's not something you would just be getting every week.
Informative stuff as always. I know you've got to run, Doctor. I appreciate the time this afternoon. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mo.
You got it. That's Dr. Nick Early, team physician for Turpin High School, by the way. OrthoCincy, OrthoCincy.com. They are there for you. Locations all throughout Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky and Southeast Indiana. You can find out more at OrthoCincy.com. You can make an appointment. They'll take your appointment. They'll make an appointment for you, but you don't need an appointment. And, look, let's face it. Sometimes something happens. You don't have time to make an appointment. You need help now. OrthoCincy can help. Check out OrthoCincy.com. Hey, it's Mo Egger. The big question this football season, where are you going to watch all the big games? I've got the answer. Long Neck Sports Grill, 3 locations in Northern Kentucky, Wilder, Hebron, and Richwood, each of them very easy to get to. The TV setup is unmatched, 4K TVs all over the place, and the sound is on for all the big games. You can't top the menu. I love the wings, and no place has a better beer selection. That's most important. Long Neck Sports Grill, perfect for football season. Stay late. Come often.